Prabhupada. Jai Prabhupada, Jaya Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. So we're reading today from Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. He sat before the mound of earth, looking out at his congregation. They appeared not much different from any other group of young hippies from the Lower East Side who might have assembled at any number of happenings, spiritual, cultural, musical, or whatever. Some were just checking out a new scene, some were deeply devoted to the Swami. But everyone was curious. He had requested them to chant the Hare Krishna mantra softly throughout the ceremony, and the chanting had now become a continual drone, accompanying his mysterious movements as head priest of the Vedic rite. He began by lighting a dozen sticks of incense, then he performed purification with water. Taking a spoon in his left hand, he put 3 drops of water from a goblet into his right and sipped the water. He repeated the procedure 3 times. The fourth time he did not sip but flicked the water onto the floor behind him. He then passed the spoon and goblet around for the initiates who tried to copy what they had seen. When some of them placed the water in the wrong hand or sipped in the wrong way, Swamiji patiently corrected them. Now he said, repeat after me. And he had then repeat one word at a time, a Vedic mantra of purification. Om apavitraha, Om apavitraha, pavitrava, sarvavastham gato piva, yasmaret pundari kaksham, sa bhahat yabhayantara suchi. Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu. The initiates tried falteringly to follow his pronunciation of the words, which they had never heard before. Then he gave the translation, unpurified or purified, or even having passed through all situations. One who remembers the lotus eye, supreme personality of God is cleansed within and without. 3 times repeated the sipping of water, that drone of the Hare Krishna mantra, filling the room as the goblet passed, from initiate to initiate, and back again to him. And 3 times he led the chanting of the mantra Om Apavitraha. Then he raised a hand, and as the buzzing of the chanting trailed off into silence, he began his lecture. After lecture, he asked the devotees one by one to hand him their beads, and he began chanting of them Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. The sound of every chanting filled the room. After finishing one strand, he would summon the owner of the beads and hold the beads up while demonstrating how to chant. Then he would announce the initiate's spiritual name, and the disciple would take back the beads back both to the floor and recite Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namini. I offer my respectful obeisances unto His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, who is very dear to Lord Krishna, having taken shelter at his lotus feet. There were 11 initiates, so 11 sets of beads, and the chanting lasted for over an hour. Prabhupada gave each boy a strand of neck beads, which he said were like dog collars, identifying the devotees as Krishna's dog. After Wali received his beads and his new name, Umapati, he returned to his place beside Howard and said, "That was wonderful. Getting your beads is wonderful." In turn, each initiate received his beads and his spiritual name. Howard became Hayagriva, Wally became Umapati, Bill became Rabindra Swarupa, Carl became Karlapati, James became Jagannatha, Mike became Mukunda, Jan became Janaki. Roy became Raya Rama, and Stanley became Strayadisha. Ever Stanley, a Brooklyn boy with a job, and Janice, a college student from Montreal, both of whom had rather peripheral relationships with the Swami, appeared the night and took initiation with the rest, receiving the names Satyavrata and Janardana. Then Swamiji began the fire sacrifice by sprinkling the colored dyes across the mound of earth before him. With fixed attention, his congregation watched each mysterious move as he picked up the twigs and wooden splinters, dipped them into clarified butter, lit them in a candle flame, and built a small fire in the center of the mound. He mixed sesame seeds, barley, and clarified butter in a bowl, and then passed the mixture around. Each new disciple took a handful of the mixture to offer into the fire. He then began to recite Sanskrit prayers, asking everyone please to repeat them, each prayer ending with a responsive chanting of the word Swaha 3 times. And with Swaha, the initiates would toss some of the sesame barley mixture into the fire. Swamiji kept pouring butter, piling up wood, and chanting more prayers until the mound was blazing. The prayers kept coming, and the butter kept pouring, and the fire got larger, and the room got hotter. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Bradajanarandana Yamunatira Vanchari Yamunatira Vanchari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Giridhari Radha Giridhari Sri Radhe Jaya Jagannatha Jagannatha Jaya Baladeva Jaya Subhatra Jaya Gauranita Gauranita Jaya Gauranita Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada जय जय श्री श्री राधा गिरिधर भगवान की जय श्री श्री जगन्नाथ बलेश्वर भगवान की जय गौर निताय की जय निताय गो प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल all glories to Sumati Buddhist Hare Krishna all glories to Sumati Buddhist Hare Krishna all glories to Sumati Buddhist Hare Krishna all glories to the sweet of Shri Shri Guru and Shri Shri Gauranga all glories to Prabhupada. So we start just Krishna prayers. Om Agyana Timin Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayaduvira Nastaprai Subhaktarishu Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttamaśriti Bhagavate Navishtaki Grantrashi Bhagavatam Ki Jai. So, Hare Krishna. So today's text is from from Canto 4, chapter 26, text 23. Swatam mukham sudati subra anurakabhara Prida vilamba vilasatta shitavalokam Nila lakhar upaskritam unnasamna Swanam pradarsaya manashvini valguvakyam Swatvam mukham sudati subra anuragabhara Prida vilamba vilasat dashitavalokam नीलालकलिभिरुपस्कृतम् उन्नसम्ना स्वानं प्रदर्शय मनस्विनी वल्गुवाक्यं स्वात्वं मुखं सुदति शुभ्रवनुरागभारा व्रीदा विलम्ब विलसत् धसितावलोकम् नीलालकलिभिरुपस्कृतम् उन्नसम्ना स्वानं प्रदर्शय मनस्विनी वल्गुवाक्यम्. Or request Prabhuji if you would like to, anybody would like to read? Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I am trying.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Shatam mukham sudati shubhrau anuraga bharo vrira vilamba vilasatha sita avalokam nila lakalivir upaskritam unnasanna sanamam pradarshaya manashini volgubakyam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mata. Mhm.
শাতম মুখম সুদতি শুভ্রব অনুরাগ ভার ব্রীড়া বিলম্ব বিলসৎ ধূসিতা অবলোকম লীলালোকালিভিরুপস্কৃতম উন্নসম নঃ স্বানাম প্রদর্শয় মনস্বিনী বল্গুবাক্যম। হরে কৃষ্ণ।
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I am also trying.
Hare Krishna Mata, please.
Shatam mukham shudati shubhra anuraga bhara bhritva bilamba bilashat dhasitavalokam nilala kalibhir upaskritam unnashamna shanam pradarsaya manashini valguvakyam. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Synonyms. Sir, that.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. May I
Hare
try,
Krishna
please?
Mata. Yes, Mata, sorry.
सात्वं मुखं सुदति शुभ्रवनुरागभार वीणा विलम्बविलसद् दसितवालुकम् नीलाकलाभिर उपस्कृतम् अन्नसम्ना स्वानं प्रदर्श्य मनसा वीणीवल्गुवाक्यम्. Hare Krishna, thank you.
Mata, thank you so much. Synonyms. Sir, that, you my wife. Tvam, you. Mukham, your face. Sudati, with beautiful teeth. Subhru, with beautiful eyebrows. Anuraga, attachment. Bhara, loaded by. Vrida, feminine shyness. Vilamba, hanging down. Vilasa, shining. Hasita, smiling. Avalokam, with glasses. Neela, bluish. Neela, bluish. Alaka, with hair. Alibhi, be like. Upashkritam, thus being beautiful. Unnasam, with a raised nose. Na, to me. Swanam, who am yours? Pradarsaya, please show. Manashwini, O most thoughtful lady. Valgu Vakyam, with sweet words. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. My dear wife, your teeth are very beautifully set, and your attractive features make you appear very thoughtful. Kindly give up your anger, be merciful upon me, and please smile upon me with loving attachment. When I see a smile on your beautiful face, and when I see your hair, which is as beautiful as the color blue, and see your raised nose and hear your sweet talk, you will become more beautiful to me, and thus attract me and oblige me. You are my most respected mistress. Purport. An effeminate husband, simply being attracted by the external beauty of his wife, tries to become her most obedient servant. Sripada Sankaracharya has therefore advised that we not become attracted by a lump of flesh and blood. The story is told that at one time a man very much attracted to a beautiful woman wooed the woman in such a way that she devised a plan to show him the ingredients of her beauty. The woman made a date to see him, and before seeing him, she took a purgative. And that whole day and night she simply passed stool, and she preserved the stool in her pot. The next night, when the man came to see her, she appeared very ugly and emaciated. emaciated. When the man inquired from her about the woman with whom he had an engagement, she replied, I'm that very woman. The man refused to believe her, not knowing that she had lost all her beauty due to the violent purgative that caused her to pass stool day and night. When the man began to argue with her, the woman said that she was not looking beautiful because she was separated from the ingredients of her beauty. When the man asked how she could be so separated, the woman said, Come on, and I will show you. She then showed him the pot filled with liquid stool and vomit. Thus the man became aware that a beautiful woman is simply a lump of matter composed of blood, still urine, and similar other disgusting ingredients. This is the actual fact. But in a state of illusion, man becomes attracted by illusory beauty, and becomes a victim of Maya. King Puranjana begged his queen to return to her original beauty. He tried to revive her just as a living entity tries to revive his original consciousness, Krishna consciousness, which is very beautiful. All the beautiful features of the queen could be compared to the beautiful features of Krishna consciousness. When one returns to his original Krishna consciousness, he actually becomes steady and his life becomes successful. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guru Shri Chaitanya Madavistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Pakadamaya Tadari Swapadam. Vande Ham Shri Guru Shri Vitapadakam Shri Rupam Sakrajatam Saygana Tapsajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijan Sahitam Krishna Shri Radha Krishna Pada Savanaveda Shri Shaka Visam. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagapati Gopisa Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavan Vishabhanu Sudevi Paramami Panchakalpa Jivesha Kripa Sindhu Paditanam Pavani Vivesha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivas Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram. Just read the translation one more time. My dear wife, your teeth are very beautifully set, and your attractive features make you very thoughtful. Kindly give up your anger. Be merciful upon me. And please smile upon me with loving attachment. When I see a smile on your beautiful face, and when I see your hair, which is as beautiful as the color blue, and see your raised nose and hear your sweet talk, you will become more beautiful to me and thus attract me and oblige me. You are my most respected mistress. Hare Krishna. So, just to do a really quick, short recap. In this chapter, we can see that story of King Puranjana and the queen and his queen, how the queen gets angry because the king goes out for hunting, and because of the hunting, which is explained as a sinful activity here, um, he leaves her alone. And when returning back, the queen is angry at the king. And we can see the king here is considering himself. In the previous text, we can see Prabhupada explains that the king, considering himself as a most obedient servant, he accepts the punishment as love of the queen. And even when he sees that is not working, he starts sharing words of flattery, wisdom, that how a servant should be accepting punishment from his master. Seeing that his efforts were not working, he continues further in order to calm the queen down, to make her smile or happy. And words of flowery jugglery gets thrown at the queen to somehow get her anger down. So in this purport, in this text, Prabhupada explains that how the king is trying to make the queen happy or calm down. He says that to make the queen smile, he tells the queen that your teeth are so beautiful, and it is even in today's time, if someone is angry and if you say, oh, your teeth is so beautiful, then they will go a little bit back and possibly they will give a smile. And as you start praising, which the king does, is who's praising the queen about her attractive features, so that she becomes more pleased and forgets the sinful activity, or as the king left her alone also to go hunting, that act which she didn't like, she can forget that and calm, return to a calm state, and be normal with the king. So in order to for the queen to give up that thought of anger, which because of which she's angry at the king, um, he tries to see that how he can make her smile. He tries to praise her hair, which is uh, as beautiful as the color blue, and then how her raised nose and sweet talk makes the king more attracted and obliged towards her. So till in the series we have been hearing the quality of a chaste wife, or a wife, a faithful wife, and here we can see that how an effeminate husband who's attracted by the material beauty of his wife is trying to become a most obedient servant. So the king is attracted by the external beauty, the material beauty of the queen. And within the purport, Sripad Sankaracharya explains how the king is attracted to a lump of flesh, blood, stool, urine, and so on. So we can see that Prabhupada is explaining the situation of a common householder in 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 grihastha ashram, or condition of one going to be, that how in illusion um, male at, attracted by a female tries its best just for that material beauty, ignoring the fact that this material beauty is nothing but uh, a lump of matter composed of blood, stool, and blood, stool, urine, and similar other disgusting ingredients. And this material beauty is so strong, that we can see that how a king Puranjana, a king who gets served by thousands of servants, a king who which is just not only King Puranjana, like any other king, uh, who gets served by thousands of servants, after whom ministers are always following to serve him, and and a king by whose just mere order an army is ready to give their own life. Such a powerful king is seen as servant he's trying to be a servant of his mistress. And why is that? This is purely because of attachment. Attachment at a bodily level. Now we know that there are two types of attachment. One is material and one is spiritual. But the king here is reflecting his material attachment. We have heard this term that happy wife, happy life. But then in Bhagavad Gita, Lord says that this place, this world is full of miseries, dukkalam shashvatam. So one cannot be happy just by having a happy wife. But still, the king here, in ignorance that, oh, because of his material attachment, he's trying his best to make the queen happy, so that thinking that he will become happy too. Now, the king shows that how living entities are materially attached or worldly attached, forgetting their true characteristics, which is Anandamaya Abhyasa. As per Vedas, we know that by nature, all living entities are always seeking pleasure. And as because at the same time, the queen is also seeking pleasure at some level. And to seek this pleasure, they they seek this pleasure through their senses. And as in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, text 62 and 63, Lord explains that how one, when seeks pleasure through their senses, they try to contemplate on sense objects. And because of this contemplating, the lust develops. When such lust is not fulfilled, anger rises. And when the anger rises, the person goes into delusion. And in that delusion, his bewilderment of memory happens, and his intelligence is lost. As a result, fall down. Just like a child. Kids, nowadays we see that kids are not always nice to their elders. They don't respect, they have lost the basic etiquette that in olden times kids were taught, and they learn by seeing their elders. But now it's not there. And as a result of that, kids are becoming more selfish. For example, when a kid wants something, even if he's rude to the parents throughout the year or every day or so, when the kids want something from the parents, they change. They try to be very nice. They are on their best behavior just to get the latest gift or go to a place where they want to go. They start the flowery words of sweet talk. And once the parents provide them, they just forget. And then again, they're back to their normal state of ignoring or disrespecting their parents. So we can see that they are ignoring the fact that it's the parents who are providing for their livelihood, and they are not independent. They are dependent on their parents. Similarly, when a person in delusion forgets that they are not independent, or this material satisfaction or material sense gratification will not provide him the true happiness, and they are dependent on they are dependent on material beauty, they go further in illusion. Similarly, in Bhagavatam, we can see that such qualities reflected by demons. Demons are mostly they operate in the mode of ignorance. They perform in Bhagavatam. We have seen that the demons have performed severe austerities for years and years that one normal would not be able to do, or you would expect from a saintly person. Like we have heard about demons like Hiranyaksha or Hiranyakashipu. They were standing on one leg for years and years and years. And after a while, they stopped even eating food or drinking water. They and other living entities were eating their bodies. How can one perform such level of austerity? But once they get the boon that they want, they go against the same demigod or supreme lord. They go against the person who gives them the boon. For example, the story of the story of Bhasmasur. Bhasmasur also went through severe austerity and to Lord Shiva. And when Lord Shiva was happy with his austerity, he gave Bhasmasur the boon that whoever he touches, whoever he touches with his hand on top of someone's head, that person, that entity will die. And Bhasmasur, being a demon in ignorance, wanted to try whether that boon actually has been provided to him or not. And in order to try it, he tried it on the same person, on Lord Shiva, to see whether we can kill him. And seeing that, Lord Shiva ran, that I just gave this demon a boon and he's now trying to kill me. So and in fear, Lord Shiva ran to save his own life and reached Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu, knowing that the demons who are in ignorance, they lack intelligence, somehow convinced him to put his own hand on his own head, and that way Bhasmasur ended up killing himself, wanting to see that Lord Shiva himself was fear of death, one who destroys, can annihilate everything. He himself is fearful of death, and because of which he reached to Lord Vishnu, who ended up to his rescue. Bhasmasur then so killed himself. And same way, living entities who are operating in the mode of ignorance, they act demonic in nature. So such sense gratification, such material attachment is a quality of demonic nature. For another pastime, in the second canto, in the third canto, Lord Brahma, the second creator of the universe, when creates the yakshas and rakshasas, the same yakshas and rakshasas, after being created, they run after Brahma himself. Why? Because they get attracted to Brahma and wants to satisfy their senses. They want to satisfy their thirst for pleasure with Lord Brahma himself. And that's in Canto 3, chapter 20, text 19. It's Prabhupada explains that Lord Brahma, when in fear, runs and again to Lord Vishnu, and who gives him for his safety advice that to give up his body. And Lord Brahma at that point gives up his body. Prabhupada explains in the translation that this body is not literally as in Brahma's body, but this body is the body of ignorance, to which these Rakshasas and Yakshas were attracted, only to fulfill their desires of pleasure. So from this, we can say that those who are attracted at a bodily level to please their senses are demonic in nature. For example, in today's world, we can see that people are, to satisfy their senses, to satisfy their hunger, they are eating meat, they're eating blood or meat which contains blood of other living entities. And it is demonic in nature because they don't show any sign of compassion or humility or love for those poor living entities. Because of such ignorance towards life, it comes or it happens because of lack of intelligence. And when there's lack of intelligence, the person in ignorance with is controlled by its mind, or is driven by its mind. And we all know that mind, or the lust, where does it reside? Its lust sitting place is mind. Prabhupada within Bhagavad Gita gives example of how of a vehicle, how a vehicle is a body inside which the individual is a person, or the passenger is, and is driven or by the driver, whose intelligence, and its steering wheel is the mind, and senses are the horses, and the self is the enjoyer. So if one lets the mind drive the vehicle, then it is in the mode of ignorance, because then it will be only to satisfy their senses, as lust, anger, and greed is the sitting, it resides within the mind. But if the intelligence is driving the mind, then the person is not driven by those qualities. Now, because of such lack of intelligence, the we living entities in this jail of bodily consciousness are repeating or coming back again to this material world, life after life, which is the general story of most living entities. So, but in this purport, in this text, Prabhupada has explained one as the focus is more on the grihastha ashram, where one can either have the higher taste or the lowest taste, and the lower taste here being the sense gratification or bodily pleasure. Now, Srimad Bhagavatam is full of such stories, because we love hearing stories. If we say in today's world, movies, cinemas, best-selling books, or TV shows, they all strive on these love stories. But in reality, these are not love stories. These are lust stories that only promotes the bodily pleasure. Because of such misleading information or misleading imaginative world that they portray, people are pushed more and more into the mode of ignorance, only to and they only strive to eat, sleep, and mate, which is the animalistic way of life, bringing them down to a lower conscious. But this human form of life is not for lower conscious, or it's not for lower consciousness, it's for higher conscious. Every living entity seeks pleasure, but the real pleasure is not in material consciousness. It is in Krishna consciousness. In material consciousness, as Lord says, that this body is temporary. It goes through different stages. In Bhagavad Gita chapter 13, text 9, Lord says that Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi. The body goes through different stages, and at the end, it dies. It ends. And throughout this, what does one go through? It is dukkha, doshana, darshana. end is suffering. Everyone's end is always suffering. The beginning is also suffering and the end is also suffering. So this body that is made out of lump of stool and pus cannot give any pleasure or happiness. It will only give dukkha. If somebody is so attracted to the skin at a body level, if they peel their skin, they can't even stand the sight of flesh. Some people seeing blood, they faint. And more, as Kali Yuga is progressing, people are moving more towards liquid beauty. They are hiding themselves behind the chemicals, such chemicals that is harmful for their body, for their natural body, that God gave us. Even if that's not enough, they use a technology to make through digital technologies. They try to with cameras and softwares, they try to make them look younger. A 50-year-old person looks like 20-year-old person. And they portray this world of, again, illusion to the people who are watching it, that drives them towards this illusory beauty. Hence, all these medical labs experimenting on poor animals, and then same products are being purchased and used by people, harming their body. Instead of slowing down the age, the people the people end up with diseases when they go close to their old age. So, what is this real beauty? If material beauty is not real beauty, then what is this real beauty? What is this real pleasure? What is this real love? Through these stories and pastimes of Lord, we understand the real beauty, the real pleasure and love can be achieved only by spiritual consciousness only. As I said earlier, the soul soul by nature is always seeking pleasure. This can only be attained by connecting to the whole Supreme Lord Krishna. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 15, text 7, Lord says, Mamaivam so jiva loke, jiva bhuta sanatana. Soul is part and parcel of the Lord. And as part and parcel of the Lord, who is Raso Vaisaha, reservoir of all pleasure, one needs to practice and understand. Then only they can become transcendently blissful. Just like a part of a machine. A part of a machine, as Prabhupada explains in Bhagavad Gita, that a part of a small nut that's a part of a bigger machine, alone that small nut or screw is not complete. But when it connects with the bigger machine, it becomes complete. Same way as being part and parcel of the Lord, as part and parcel of the Om Purnam, Supreme Lord. Once we connect with the Lord, we become complete. So how can understand this? How can one change this material conscious to a spiritual conscious? In Bhagavad Gita, Lord gives us the formula, and Prabhupada explains in chapter 9, text 26, that we have to perform sacrifices. Not the kind of sacrifice that demons perform for their own selfish or for their own sense gratification. Lord says, Yat karoshi yat asnasi yat juhoshi tadasi yat tapasyasi konteya tat kurushva mad arpanam. We have to perform sacrifices. How? Yat karosi yat asnasi. Whatever you do, whatever we eat, we do it, we offer it to the Lord as a sacrifice. Yat jihosi dadasi. Whatever we offer in sacrifice or give away. Yat tapasyasi konteya. Whatever austerities we perform, tat kurushva mat arpanam. Do that. Do that as an offering to the Supreme Lord, Krishna. This way, one will become from material entanglement, from karma yoga. From karma yoga, he will move to Nishkam karma yoga. And as a result of that, he will not be subject to the result of or to the action to the actions or to the results of the actions. And he will be able to become free from this material consciousness, move to a spiritual consciousness, and also get out of the cycle of birth and death. In order to understand this knowledge, one needs to seek out a spiritual master also. Just like for material sense gratification, we seek out, or people seek out, to such shops of sense gratification, such knowledge available out for sense gratification. For spiritual consciousness, we have to seek out a spiritual master. And Prabhupada explains nicely how one should approach a spiritual master. Tat vidi paripatena pariprasthena sevaya upadeksha antite jnanam jnaninas tattva darshina. To learn this real truth, one needs to approach a spiritual master, a guru, by surrender, by inquiring, and by service. If one is not surrendered, if one is not sincerely inquiring and sincerely serving, they will again go back to that material attachment. And by the process of chanting, as Mahaprabhu within Shikshastakam has told us, has given us the 8 verses that tells us that Cheto Darpan Marjan, by the process of this chanting, this layer of dust, this layer of liquid covering of material sense gratification, one can clean and be able to understand, realize the higher taste, the message of the Lord. So through this process of hearing from a bona fide guru, and by surrender, service, inquiry and service, plus the detoxification process of chanting and clearing the dirt in our heart, one can realize that they are not this body, but our spirit soul. And once they realize that they are the spirit soul, they will be able to connect to the Supreme Lord and achieve the real pleasure by connecting to the Om Purnam. So, and this realization will happen when the illusory beauty is eradicated. Just like in the purport, Sripad Shankaracharya, Prabhupada explains that how the person, when sees the woman after she has gone through the process, purgative process, and after seeing that the beauty that he thought was real was nothing but stool and vomit, his illusion was broken. Same way, once we understand that we are not this body, we are the spirit soul, and the only way spirit soul can can be happy is by serving the Supreme. One can get out of this material illusory, from this material consciousness to spiritual consciousness. So to summarize today's purport, material consciousness of bodily pleasure is demonic in quality and only brings suffering. One who operates in such consciousness is in the mode of ignorance, and mode of ignorance that this body is temporary and is composed of blood, stool, urine, and other similar disgusting ingredients. And if one wants to overcome such material consciousness, they have to awaken their original consciousness, which is spiritual consciousness, through Krishna consciousness, which is very beautiful, Anandamari. And as spirit soul, we are Sachit Anand. In order to get this knowledge, one is to go through the process of taking shelter of a bona fide spiritual master by sincere study, by sincere surrendering to instruction of spiritual master, by sincere inquiry of questions about the absolute truth, and by sincere service of their spiritual master. Because again, spiritual master is the direct representative of the Supreme Lord Krishna. And this is the only way one can make their life successful. Hare Krishna. If there's any comments or questions.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna Prabhu. Thank you very much for a very nice class, particularly bringing out the real cause of happiness in our life. When we forget that that the soul is the making our body liven, because our body is only a lump of few chemicals, and it is dead in otherwise in absence of the soul. So if we forget that, that means we cannot. If we do not bring that knowledge that soul is the ultimate thing that it makes us living, and in its absence everything is just a lump of chemicals. You have very nicely pointed it out. And in fact, I remember that in Srimad Bhagavatam, Rishabdev is telling his son that Nayam deho deho bhajan niloke kashtan kama nahrate vidavo jane kapo divyam putra gayena shattam shuddhe jasmad brahma shokam tonantam. So for Prabhupada has made its translation like that. My dear sons, there is no reason to labor very hard for sense pleasure while in this inman form of life. Such pleasures are available to stool eaters, hogs. Rather, you should undergo penances in this life, by which your existence will be purified, and result you will be able to enjoy unlimited transcendental bliss. So what the material people are trying to get is a temporary and sense gratification, which is temporary with the body only, and that also is restricted to some part of life. When you become old and aged, it is not possible. So for unlimited transcendental pleasure, we have to connect ourselves with the Supreme Lord, and considering the knowledge that the soul is only the control. When we feed the soul, then we become really happy. Otherwise, this material enjoyment will not make us happy. It is very temporary and limited. And so Prabhupada is often told, has quoted this verse, that Krishna je bhaje shivara chatur, one who connects with the Supreme Lord and understands the relation between the soul and the super soul, he becomes happy and unlimitedly happy, and he never looks behind for a lower taste of sense enjoyment. So thank you very much, Prabhuji, for bringing out this point. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu. If there's no questions or comments, I would request Mataji. Oh, Prabhuji.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. Panchakalpatarubhyascha.
सर्वस्य कृपा सिन्धुभैव च पतितानां
पतितानां
पावनेभ्यो
वैष्णवेभ्यो
वैष्णवेभ्यो
नमो नमः।
अनंतकोटि
अनंतकोटि
वैष्णव
वैष्णव
वृंद की जय। His Grace Sumati Nimai प्रभु की जय।
जय।
प्रभुपाद की
जय।
जय। गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि
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 हरि बोल।
All glories to